Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Glossip. So if you're new on my channel, please subscribe and press the bell button. So guys, today's video is going to be a little bit long because in this video I'm going to read some storybooks. I request you all that if you have any kids in your family, let them watch this video so they can have a great fun with me. Let's get started. So first of all, we are going to read level 1. This is
The Magic Porridge Pot. The Magic Porridge Pot. So over here there are the main characters, the old woman, little girl, mother, and the magic porridge pot. One day a little girl meets an old woman. The old woman gives her a magic porridge pot. So here's a little girl and the old woman and the magic porridge pot. Cook, little pot, cook, says the old woman, and the little pot cooks some porridge. Over here there is like magic, and she is saying wow, type something. Stop, little pot, stop, says the old woman, and the little pot stop cooking because some of the porridge fell down on the ground. The little girl takes the magic porridge pot to her mother. Over here, the magic porridge pot and her mother. Cook, little pot, cook, says the little girl's mother. And the little pot cooks some porridge. So she is putting some porridge in her plate to eat. I think the dog is also hungry. Now there is lots of porridge in the kitchen, but the magic porridge pot cooks and cooks. Oh, she is sleeping. The mother is sleeping and cat and dog are scared. Now there is lots of porridge in the house, but magic porridge pot cooks and cooks. So over here the mother is sleeping and the cat is in her arms and the dog is on the stool. Now there is lots of porridge in the street, but the magic porridge pot cooks and cooks. Oh my gosh, everyone is scared and they're trying to save their lives. Now there is lots of porridge in the town, but the magic porridge pot cooks and cooks. So everyone is on their table chair. Stop, little pot, stop, says the little girl, and the magic porridge pot stop cooking. So in this picture, some are sinking in and swimming. But now the people are eating too much porridge and everyone is having fun and eating. So it's activity section now. True and false, yes and no, matching, and picture description. And there are some alphabet arranging, that how was the story. Then filling the blanks, question answers, and more blanks to fill. Then over here you have to find some words, and true and false, yes and no, more blanks, and some more activities.
then the second book is the
Enormous Turnip. So this book is from Ladybird readers. So here are the main characters: old man, old woman, boy, girl, dog, and the enormous turnip. The old man planted some turnips in his garden. One day he noticed a huge turnip growing out of the ground in the middle of his garden. So it's really huge turnip, and some are growing like this one small. He decided to take the turnip out of the ground to eat it for dinner. He pulled and he pulled, but the turnip was too big. Over here he's trying to pull it out, and he's using his all the power, but he just couldn't. I want this turnip for dinner, the old man said to the old woman, but I cannot pull it out. Please help me. Over here there is the old woman, and he's saying to her. They pulled and pulled, but the enormous turnip was too big. They couldn't pull it out. So over here they're trying again to pull out the turnip. The old man wants this turnip for dinner. The old woman said to the boy passing by, please help us. I think he was playing football because he has a football over here. They pulled and pulled, but the enormous turnip was too big. They couldn't pull it out. Then over here they're trying again to pull the enormous turnip, but they couldn't. The old man wants this turnip for dinner. The boy said to the girl passing by with her dog, please help us. Over here they're so tired, and he's asking from the girl. They pulled and pulled, but the enormous turnip was too big. They just couldn't pull it out. Over here they're trying again, but they couldn't. The old man wants this turnip for dinner. The girl said to the dog, please help us. Over here she's telling to her dog. They pulled and pulled and pulled. Suddenly the enormous turnip was in front of them. They were very happy. So they all are happy, and there are some roots of the enormous turnip. They all fell down, and they were taking out it. And they all ate the turnip for dinner. Over here they all are eating, and even the dog. And now the activities. So over here there are true and false, yes and no, matching, word finding, filling the blanks type something, and find the right answer from here. That what will come over here. Then the arrangement, you have to do the arrangement over here. Then question and answer, that who has a dog, you have to circle that picture. Yes and no, yes and no again. And over here there is personality, description of the old man. Then again matching, the arrangement that what was happened first. Then over here, this is the end.
So the second level is the Little Red Riding Hood.
Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood lived with her mother and father in a house in the forest. Over here she is plucking out some flowers, and her mother is baking something, and her father is cutting the woods. One day Little Red Riding Hood's mother said, "Will you take these cakes to grandmother?" "Yes," said Little Red Riding Hood, and off she went. So here is the basket, and her mother is giving to Red Riding Hood, and there is some cookies and the baking powder. Grandmother's house was on the other side of the forest. A wolf lived in the forest. Here is the wolf, and it's really scary. When the wolf saw Little Red Riding Hood, he said, "I will eat her all up." He ran to grandmother's house. Over here he is licking his tongue, and he got big teeth. And over here there is Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood knocked on her grandmother's door. "Come inside," a funny voice. So she is scared or something. And over here she's knocking the door. Little Red Riding Hood went in the house. "Come closer, my dear," said the funny voice. Over here is the cat, and the grandmother is all tied up in a carpet, and she's under the table. And Little Red Riding Hood is scared. "Oh, grandmother," said Little Red Riding Hood, "what big ears you have! All the better to hear you with, my dear," said the funny voice. "Come closer." So over here the wolf is wearing grandmother's dress. "Oh, grandmother," said Little Red Riding Hood, "what big eyes you have! All the better to see you with, my dear," said the funny voice. "Come closer." "Oh, grandmother," said Little Red Riding Hood, "what big teeth do you have! All the better to eat you with," carried the wolf. So over here Little Red Riding Hood is really scared, and the wolf is coming out from the bed. And the basket is just falling out from her hand, and she is so much scared. Here's the cat, it's just ready to run. The wolf jumped up and chased Little Red Riding Hood round and round the house. "Help!" cried Little Red Riding Hood. Where she is running, and the wolf is chasing her. Little Red Riding Hood's father was in the forest. He ran to grandmother's house to help. He is running to see that what's happening in the house. The wolf jumped when he saw Little Red Riding Hood's father. Then he ran and was never seen in the forest again. He is running and going away.
The Sly Fox and the Red Hen.
Sly Fox and the Red Hen. So this is the main characters: Red Hen, Sly Fox, words, cooking pot, stones. Red Hen lived in a little house in a tree. The tree was near the woods. The Sly Fox lived in woods. A sly fox is a clever fox, and he was very hungry. "I am a sly fox," he said. Over here, he is really hungry, and there is a recipe book of chicken, maybe, that he will eat the hen. Sly Fox picked up his black bag and went out. "I want to catch Red Hen and eat her," he said. Over here, he got his black bag and he's going to the Red Hen's house. Sly Fox waited in Red Hen's little house. "I am the fox, I am the fox. I am really sly. You cannot run fast, but you can try," said the Sly Fox. Over here, he is hiding over here, and the Red Hen is giving water to the plant. Red Hen saw Sly Fox and ran from her house. "You're the fox, you're the fox. You're really sly. You cannot catch me, but you can try," said the Red Hen. "I want to catch and eat you, Red Hen," said Sly Fox, and he ran very fast, round and round, round and round. Over here, he's running really fast and round, and even the Red Hen is getting dizzy. Red Hen's head went round and round too. She fell down into Sly Fox's big bag. So over here, she's falling in the big bag black. Sly Fox ran to the woods. The big black bag was heavy, and Sly Fox was tired and sat down to rest. Soon he went to sleep. Over here, he is sleeping, and in this bag, the Red Hen. Red Hen jumped out of the bag. "You're the fox, you're the fox. You're really sly. You cannot catch me, but you can try," said the Red Hen quietly. Over here, she is out from the bag, and the Sly Fox is still sleeping. Red Hen put some heavy stones in the Sly Fox's big bag. Then she ran home. Over here, she is putting the stones. The Sly Fox stripped the bag into the cooking pot. Then he said, "I am the fox, I am the fox. I'm really sly. I want to eat you. Say goodbye." So over here, there is the recipe book to cook the Red Hen. The stone hit the hot water, and the hot water hit the fox. "Ouch!" said Sly Fox. "Oh no, and I did not catch Red Hen after all." So over here, the water is coming on the Sly Fox. Then the activities. So over here, there are some question answers. Find the missing words and picture description, question answers. filling the blanks. Then again question answers. And like true and false said, is that yes or no? And question answers that who was this and this. Then the arrangement. And then question answers again. Then filling the blanks, and that's all.
And the third level.
Hansel and Gretel. So Hansel and Gretel lived with their father and stepmother in a little house near the wood. Their father was a woodcutter and he was very poor. They were all very hungry. Over here, these two kids are helping their father and she is really angry. One day, Hansel and Gretel's father said, "We have no money left. There is no more food for us to eat," he is saying to the stepmother. "Then Hansel and Gretel cannot live here," said their stepmother. "We must leave them in the middle of the wood." "No," said his father. But their stepmother said, "We must." Here she is saying that we have to leave the kids in the middle of the woods. Hansel and Gretel were listening at the door. "I have a plan," said Hansel, and he went out to get some pebbles. Here he is listening to the door and they're saying, "Oh no." The next day they all went into the wood. Hansel dropped pebbles on the path. Over here he is dropping the pebbles. "Wait here," said their father. "We are going to collect wood." Hansel and Gretel waited all day, then they followed the pebbles back home. Over here there are some pebbles and they will follow them. The woodcutter was glad to see Hansel and Gretel, but their stepmother was angry. "There is not enough food for us all," she said. "We must take Hansel and Gretel deeper into the woods." So he's hugging his child, but their stepmother is really angry. "No," said their father. "We can't do that. We must," said their stepmother. This time they must not find their way home. So he's saying no, and Hansel's stepmother locked the door so that Hansel couldn't get out. He couldn't collect pebbles. Over here she has the key and their father is working over there. The next day they all went deeper into the wood. This time Hansel dropped breadcrumbs on the path. "Wait here," said their father. "We are going to collect wood." So this time he dropped some breadcrumbs. And over here their father is saying that stay here. Hansel and Gretel waited all day. Then they looked for the breadcrumbs on the path, but the birds had eaten all the breadcrumbs. Over here the birds are eating the breadcrumbs because bread is a food. Hansel and Gretel went deeper into the wood. They walked for a long time. In the middle of the wood, they found a house made of sweet and candies. Oh, yummy! That's amazing. But maybe there is a witch inside the house. In the house lived a witch. The witch planned to eat Hansel and Gretel. Oh gosh. She locked Hansel in a cage and gave him lots of food. That's bad. Soon he will be fat enough to eat, said the witch. Then I will cook him in my fire. Where's the fire? Said Gretel. I hear she's asking from the witch. Here, said the witch, and she opened the oven door. I can't see the fire, said Gretel. The witch opened the oven door a little wider. I still can't see it, said Gretel. But I think she got a plan, because she is happy. The witch opened the oven door as wide as she could. Gretel pushed her in and locked the door. So that time she got a plan to push her in the oven, and then she will be burned. Gretel let Hansel out of the cage. Look at this old money, said Gretel. We can take this home and buy food with it. So these are gold coins. Wow. After a long walk, Hansel and Gretel found their way home. Their father was very glad to see them. Your stepmother has gone, he said. And they are all happy to see each other.
The Elf and the Shoemaker.
The Elves and the Shoemaker. So let's get started. The Elves and the Shoemaker. Once upon a time, there was a poor shoemaker and his wife. This is all the leather I have left, said the poor shoemaker. I can make just one pair of shoes. He is sad now. That night, the shoemaker cut the leather. I will make these shoes in the morning, he said. He left the leather in the shop and went to bed. The next morning, the shoemaker came downstairs. To his surprise, the leather had been made into a pair of beautiful shoes. Wow, amazing! This shoes is so beautiful. The shoemaker called his wife. Did you make these shoes? No, said his wife. I didn't make these shoes. They both are surprised that who made these shoes. Just then a rich lady came into the shop. She picked up the shoes. These shoes are the most beautiful shoes I have ever seen, she said. She gave the shoemaker 3 gold coins. Over here, as you can see, that she is so happy to see the shoes, and they're also glad that they got more money. With the money, the shoemaker bought some more leather. That night, the shoemaker cut 2 pairs of shoes. He left the leather on the table and went to bed. Over here, he's cutting the leather, and he also bought the leather from the shop. In the morning, there were 2 pairs of shoes on the table. The shoemaker called his wife. "Did you make these shoes?" "No," said his wife. "I didn't make these shoes." "Look at these shoes. These are really beautiful. Pink and yellow and blue." That very morning, a rich man came into the shop. "What beautiful shoes," said the man. "I must have them. I will pay you 6 gold coins." He was so happy and he gave them 6 gold coins. The shoemaker bought some more leather. "Now I can make 3 pairs of shoes," he said. He worked late into the night cutting the leather. Then he went to bed. Over here he's cutting and the candle is burning so he can get some light. The next morning, the shoemaker come downstairs. On the table were 3 pairs of beautiful shoes. "Wow, I love these shoes. Purple one is my favorite." The shoemaker called his wife. "We must find out who is making these beautiful shoes for us," said the shoemaker. And they're seeing the shoes. These are really beautiful. That night, the shoemaker worked very hard. He cut leather for 4 pairs of shoes. But this time, the shoemaker and his wife hid in the shop. So over here they are behind them. At midnight, the door of the shop opened and in come 2 little elves dressed in rags. They jumped up into the table and opened their little green bags. So over here they are climbing on the things to get on the table. The elves stitched and sewed and hammered all night. By morning they had made 4 pairs of shoes. Then they picked up their bags and ran out of the shop. So as you can see that they are working over here and they're seeing that wow. The shoemaker said to his wife, "The elves have helped us, but how can we help them?" "I know what can we do," said his wife. "There are a lot of pairs of shoes." The shoemaker and his wife worked very hard. They made 2 pairs of little green shoes, some little green cloths, and 2 little green hats. Oh, so cute! Over here they're working. And there's some 2 pairs of pants and shirts. That night they left the little green shoes, hats, and cloths in the shop. Then they hide again. Over here there are a lot of beautiful tiny cloths. At midnight the door of the shop opened and the elves come in. When they saw the little green shoes, little green clothes, and the little green hats, they were very surprised. They put them on at once. The elves went on helping the shoemaker and his wife to make beautiful shoes. And the shoemaker and his wife made more clothes for the little elves. Wow, these shoes are so beautiful. so bright colors. And the dress is so beautiful too. And the shoemaker and his wife and the two little elves all lived happily ever after. Over here there are two tiny elves over there, and they are dressed in a beautiful dress, and they are tiny little elves.
One is the secret garden. It's my favorite one.
A secret garden. 9-year-old Mary Lixon lived with her mother and father in a huge house in India. She was not very pretty and had yellow hairs and a pale face because she was often ill. She was an only child, but her parents didn't have a lot of time for her. The Indian servants looked after her and did everything for her. Mary became a very bossy little girl with no friends. Then one day a terrible disease killed Mary's parents and most of the servants in the house. The rest of the servants ran away at night. Everybody forgot about little Miss Mary and she stayed in the empty house alone. Two army officers went into the house to investigate. There is a child here. She is all alone. Who is she? An army officer cried out when he saw the girl. My name is Mary Lixon, answered the girl angrily. Where is everybody? Why are my servants not here? Poor little kid, everybody has left, said the officer. What are we going to do about her? Asked one of the men. She hasn't got anyone here in India, said the officer. But I have heard of an uncle in Yorkshire. Maybe she can go there. It was a long journey to England. When the ship arrived, Mary's uncle wasn't there to meet her. Mrs. Medlock, his housekeeper, was waiting for her. Mrs. Medlock was a strong woman with red cheeks. She was a good servant, but she didn't know anything about children. They traveled by train and on the way to Yorkshire, Mrs. Medlock turned and looked at the girl. Do you know anything about your uncle? She asked. No, said Mary. She tried to look like she didn't care. Mr. Archibald Craven lives in Mrs. Wealthy Moor, said the woman. It's 600 years old and it has over 100 rooms and lots of gardens. Your uncle has got a bent back and he is a difficult man. You see, his wife died a few years ago. Oh, she died? Mary jumped in. Yes, she died, answered Mrs. Medlock. He misses her very much. Now he didn't care about anybody. He isn't going to spend time with you. In fact, he often goes away. There is nobody to play with you at Mrs. Wealthy. You can play outside, but you can't explore inside the house. There are rules. You mustn't open locked doors or play in corridors. Mr. Craven wouldn't like it. Mary said nothing, but she wasn't happy. She didn't like rules and she don't like getting orders from a servant. Chapter number 2. Martha, a friendly Yorkshire girl, woke Mary up on her first day at Mrs. Wealthy. Good morning, Miss Mary. I bought your breakfast, she said. Mary looked at her. Are you my servant? She asked. Oh no, I work for Mrs. Medlock, answered Martha. I will clean and bring your meals, but the rest you have to do yourself. Who is going to put on my clothes? Asked Mary. Martha laughed. You are 9 years old. You can put on your clothes. You are only servant. You know nothing, shouted the girl. In India, my servant did everything for me. It's so difficult here. I hate it. she said and started crying. Oh no, please don't cry, Mrs. Mary, Martha said kindly. I am sorry, look, I will help you get dressed and tell you about my family. Mary stopped crying. That's better. Well, I have got 11 young brothers and sisters, and they all live in a little house in the moor, began Martha. The moor? Asked the girl. Yes, said Martha. Look out the window. There's the beautiful Yorkshire moor. Mary looked at the grey sky and empty land. It wasn't beautiful. My brother Deacon loves playing on the moor, Martha said. The wild birds and animals are his friend. I don't like to have an animal friend, thought Mary. She sat down for breakfast but didn't eat much. I don't want it, she said, and pushed her plate away. You don't want your breakfast? Then go out and play in the gardens. But what can I do there? Asked Mary. I will tell you a secret, said Martha, and she looked around. One of the gardens is locked. Nobody has been in it for 10 years. Why? Asked Mary. Mr. Craven closed it when his wife died. Maybe you can find it, said Martha. It was a cold winter day. The gardens were quiet and empty. Only an old guardian was outside, but he didn't talk to her. Suddenly, a bird started singing. It was in a tree behind a big wall, but she couldn't see a door in the wall. How do I get into the garden? She asked the man. What garden? He said coldly. Where the bird is, said Mary and pointed at the little bird. The old man looked up and smiled. He called the bird and it flew down to him. Oh, it knows you, said Mary. What's your name? Ben Wethelstaff, answered the man. I have worked here for years. The robin is my only friend. I haven't got any friends, said Mary. Ben smiled. You're lonely like me, but I think this robin likes you. Do you think so? Will you be my friend, little bird? Will you? Said Mary sweetly, and the robin sang back. Then it flew behind a tall wall. Oh no, said Mary, it's behind the wall. Where is the door? There is no door, said Ben and stopped smiling. Nobody can't get into that garden. Go and play now. I have no time, he said and walked away. That evening she asked Martha, where is the secret garden? Martha looked at her. Well, listen, she said. The garden was a special place. Your aunt and uncle spent hours there. She always sat on the branch of an old tree. But one day the branch broke. It was a very bad fall. She died. Mr. Craven locked the door and threw away the key. Nobody knows where it is, said Martha. They sat and looked at the fire when suddenly the wind opened the door. Mary heard a strange noise. Do you hear anyone crying? She asked Martha. No, said the servant. It's the wind. But listen, said Mary again. It's a child in the house at the end of the corridor. Martha got up quickly and closed the door. There's nothing there, only wind. She sat and looked at Mary. Mary said nothing but thought, this house is full of secrets. Chapter number 3. Martha shouted, Mary! One morning, look at the moor. The sun was shining, the sky was blue, and everything looked beautiful. Spring is coming, smiled Martha. There will be lots of colorful flowers on the moor soon. It was Martha's day off, and she was going to see her family. I would like to visit your house one day, said Mary. It's a long walk, said Martha, but I can ask my mother. She can talk to Miss Medlock about it. I must go now. I will see you tomorrow. I would like to meet your mother, said Mary. And Deacon, Martha smiled. I wonder, she said, what Deacon would think of me. I don't think he would like me, answered the girl coldly. Martha was surprised. Why? She asked. Don't you like yourself? No, not at all, said Mary. But I will never thought of the before. Well, think about it now, said Martha gently, and left. Mary went out to the garden. Ben and two other gardeners were working, and the robin was singing loudly. Look, everything is starting to grow, Ben said and smiled at her. Ben is happy today, thought Mary, as he walked away. The robin followed her. Hello, do you remember me? She asked the bird. The robin flew down to her, and Mary saw something on the ground. What's that? She asked. Oh, it's an old key. Perhaps it's the key of the garden, she said, and put the key in her pocket. Early the next morning, Martha came back. I brought you a present, she said happily to Mary. It's from my mother. A present? She asked. Oh, what is it? It's a skipping rope. Martha says it will help you. I don't know what to say. Thank you. Martha laughed. Go outside and try it. Mary skipped and skipped all the way to the garden wall. The robin was sitting there. You showed me the key yesterday, she said, but where is the door? The robin started singing. Suddenly the wind blew and some branches moved from the wall. Oh, it's magic, thought Mary. As a door appeared, she tried the key and the heavy door opened. Mary took a steep thought the door and smiled. She was standing inside the secret garden. It was the most mysterious place you could imagine. There were hundreds of plants and roses branches and tall grass everywhere. Leaves and branches huge from walls and trees. And the garden smelled sweet and wet. It's so quiet here, she whispered as everything died. Then she noticed some little green plants in the ground. She took a stick and cleaned around them. I can help these flowers to grow, she thought, and she worked all morning until lunchtime. You ate all your food and look at your red cheeks, said Martha. Mother was right. Martha, she said slowly. I want to make a little garden, but I need some things. Mrs. Medlock gives me money for my uncle every week. Where can I buy a small spade? Martha thought for a minute. There's a shop in the village. It sells garden tools and flowers. My brother Deacon often goes there. He can buy things for you and bring them here. Oh, could he, Martha? Said Mary. Yes, we will send him a letter with some money, answered Martha. Mary was excited. I am going to meet Deacon. I want to see him very much, she thought and smiled. Chapter number 4. Mary worked in her garden every day. One morning she asked Ben Weatherstaff, what flowers do you like most? Ben, do you like roses? Yes, I do, he smiled. I worked for a kind young lady 10 years ago. Her garden was full of roses and she loved them very much. Where is she now? Asked Mary Heaven. He answered and went back to work. Oh, and the flowers? She asked. Did they die? Ben looked at her. Some of them lived, but why are you asking so many questions? Well, I have got nothing to do, said Mary quickly and skipped away. Then he heard a strange sound. She went towards it and saw a boy with a squirrel and two rabbits around him. He was playing music to them with a wooden pipe. Don't move. They will run away, he said quietly. I am Deacon, he said, and you're Miss Mary. Deacon was 12 and he had very blue eyes and a big smile. Yes, hello, she said. Did you get the letter? Yes, answered the boy. Look, I have bought some tools and some flower seeds. Oh, thank you, she said. I can help you plant them. Where's your garden? He asked. Mary's face turned red. She looked at Deacon. Can we keep a secret? She asked. I keep secrets all the time, he said. Don't worry, I have taken a garden, she said. Nobody wants it, and nobody ever goes there, and nobody can take it away from me, she said and started crying. Deacon spoke kindly. Don't worry, he said again. I won't say anything. Where is it? Mary took him to the secret garden and opened the door. Oh, it's beautiful, he said. It's like a dream. Did you know about it? Mary asked. Martha told me about it. I always wanted to see it, he said. I want everything to grow again, she told him. Will you help me, please? I will come every day, he said. There is a lot to do, but we will have a great fun. The two children happily began their work. Mary didn't want to stop at midday. I have to go for lunch. Will you leave too? She asked. Deacon, I have my lunch with me. He smiled and took out a sandwich. You go and eat, and I will do some more work. She ran to her room. Martha, she said, excited. I have seen Deacon. Well, said Martha. Did he bring your tools and flowers? Oh, yes, they were just what I wanted. And I really like Deacon, too. He's waiting for me outside, smiled Mary and ate quickly. But Martha had a news. Your uncle came home this morning, Mrs. Mary, and he wants to see you. Mary went white. Mrs. Medlock took the girl to her uncle's room. He was sitting in an armchair by the fire. He was a tall man with an unhappy face, and his black hairs were starting to turn white. This is Mrs. Medlock, sir, said Mrs. Medlock. Thank you, Medlock. You may go, said Mr. Craven. Are you well? He asked Mary. Yes, answered the girl. I am sorry, but I forgot about you. I think I have to get a teacher for you, he said. Mary began to shake. Please, she said, please don't get me a teacher yet. Don't look so frightened, child. I don't know anything about children, but I want you to be happy. What would you like? Do you need toys or books? Asked Mr. Craven. I like playing outside, and I would like a little garden, she finally said. A garden? He said. Do you like gardens? Yes, she said. I want to make things grow. Mr. Craven's eyes got kinder. Someone else like flowers too, he said quietly. A teacher can wait. You can have your garden, he told Mary, and he added, tomorrow I am leaving, so goodbye. Mary was very happy. She ran to her magical place, but Deacon was not there. There was a note on a tree. It was from Deacon. I will come back. Chapter number 5. Mary went to bed happy, but a storm woke her up in the middle of the night. Oh no, it's raining. I can't go to the garden tomorrow. And see, Dickon, I hate rain, she thought. Mary lay awake and turned from side to side. Suddenly, she heard the strange sound from the corridor again. It isn't the wind, she thought. What is it? I am going to find out. She went down the long corridor and saw light under a closed door. The sound was coming from behind the door. Mary opened it and saw a huge room with a large bed, a pale face, and with big eyes, grey eyes, turned and looked at her from the bed. It was the face of a boy, and he was crying. Who are you? Are you a ghost? He asked. No, I am not, she answered. Are you? No, I am Colin Craven. Who are you? Asked the boy. I am Mary Lixon. Mr. Craven is my uncle, she said. He's my father, said the boy. Your father? Exclaimed Mary. He has a child? Nobody told me. The servants aren't allowed to talk about me. I don't want people to see me and talk about me, said Colin. Why? Asked Mary. Because I am always ill and I can't walk, said Colin. Does your father come and visit you? She asked. Sometimes. He usually comes when I am sleeping. My mother died when I was born, and he doesn't want to see me, he answered. He doesn't want the garden too, because she died, she said. What garden? Asked the boy. Oh, just a garden, said Mary quickly. Your father locked it 10 years ago and nobody can go inside. They must open it, he said. The servants have to listen to me. I can make them to do that. I can make them open the door. Mary's eyes opened wide. Oh, don't do that. It won't be a secret garden anymore, she said. I never had a secret before, but I think I like this one, said Colin. So I won't say anything, but you must come to my room every day. Mrs. Medlock won't like it, she said. I won't tell her, he said. I will send Martha for you. The next day, Mary told Martha about Colin. Martha went red. Oh no, he's a very difficult boy. I will lose my job. No, you won't, said Mary. He likes me. Why can't he walk? Nobody is sure, answered Martha. You know his mother died. Well, Mr. Craven couldn't even look at the baby. Nurses and servants looked after Colin. He was often ill and he always stayed in bed. Mr. Craven's brother is a doctor and he thinks the boy will die. That afternoon, Colin sent his nurses away and asked for Mary. She told him about the moor, the ant Dickon, and his wild animals, but she did not tell him about the secret garden. The two children talked and laughed for hours. When suddenly the door opened, Mrs. Medlock walked in with Dr. Craven. What is this? Asked the surprised doctor. Colin looked at them. This is my cousin, Mary Lixon. She must visit me every day. Dr. Craven didn't look happy. Colin, you are ill. You will get tired. It is not good for you. I feel better. I like Mary. She makes me better. Medlock, tell the nurses to bring us our tea now. Mary and I will have tea together, ordered Colin, and everybody had to listen. So in this picture there is a teapot and 2 cups of tea and 2 sandwiches. So Colin and Mary can eat it and drink the tea together. Chapter number 6. It rained all week. Mary couldn't go to the garden or see Dickon, but she spent every day in Colin's room. You broke the rules, but Mr. Colin likes you, said Mrs. Medlock. He doesn't cry so much now, and he is feeling better. Mary liked Colin, but she was careful not to tell him about the garden. He isn't Deacon, she thought. Can he keep my secret? On the first sunny day, Mary woke up very early. She put on her clothes quickly and ran to the secret garden. Deacon was already there with his friends, a little fox and a blackbird. Good morning, Deacon, she said happily. I am so happy you're here. Deacon smiled. This little fox is Captain, he said, and the blackbird's name is Suit. That's nice. I have got news for you too. I found my cousin Colin. Did you know about him? Yes, I am sorry, but Martha and I couldn't tell you, answered Deacon. Is he very ill? So as you can see that over here there is Colin, and on his shoulder a blackbird is sitting. He forgets about it with me, she said. The poor boy is always in bed. Maybe we could bring him out here to the garden, he said Deacon. That's a good idea, she smiled. He would like to see a secret garden. The two children had lots of work in the garden, and Mary didn't go to Colin's room at midday. In the evening, she found him very angry. Why don't you come? He asked her. I was waiting for you. Now my back and my head hurts. I was working in the garden with Deacon, she answered. I will send Deacon away if you spend more time with him, Colin said angrily. Mary got angry too. If you do that, I will never come to this room again. You will have to if I want you to, he said. I won't, she cried. You're selfish. You are selfish. No, I'm not, he said. I am ill and I am going to die. You're not, she said. You just want people to be sorry for you. Get out, he shouted and threw his pillow at her. I am going and I am not coming back, she shouted. I won't tell you about the garden or Deacon or his ideas. That night, Colin's crying and screaming woke everybody up. It was awful. The nurses come running to Mary. Please come quickly, Mrs. Mary. We can't do anything, but maybe you can. Mary was still angry with Colin. She ran into his room and shouted at him, Stop! You must stop, or we will all leave this house and you will be alone. I can't stop, he cried. I am ill and I will die. No, you won't, she shouted. You are always saying that. You are always saying that, but it's not true. Colin stopped crying and looked at her. Do you really think I will live and grow up? Yes, she answered. If you go outside, you will get strong. Colin took her hand. I shall go out with you, he said quietly. Can you please stay and talk to me until I go to sleep? Mrs. Medlock, Martha, and the nurses stood there with open mouths. Colin never said please. Chapter number 7. It was a long night and Mary woke up late. The next day, Master Colin would like to see you, said Martha. He said please. Mary wanted to see Deacon very much, but she decided to go to Colin's room first. Thank you for coming, said Colin quickly. I am very tired today. Are you going out? Yes, I am going to Deacon, she answered. It's about the secret garden. I dreamed about the garden last night, smiled Colin. It was a wonderful place. Come back quickly. Mary ran to the garden. Deacon was there with 3 more friends. Jumped the pony and 2 squirrels nut and shell. Mary told him all about Colin. Dickon was sorry for him. That poor boy. He is alone and gets frightened and has bad thoughts. We have to bring him here to feel the sun and smell the flowers. Yes, she said, but first you must visit him with your animals. Mary went back to the house and set Colin's bed. You smell nice and fresh, said Colin. It's the smell of flowers and the grass. It's the smell of the moor, she said. Dickon had lots of animals. Today, she continued, there was the fox and the blackbird, 2 squirrels, and a pony. I would like to meet Dickon, said Colin. Good, she said, because tomorrow he is coming to see you with his animal friends. Really? Asked Colin, and his eyes grew bigger. Yes, really. And there's more, she went on. I have found the door to the secret garden. Oh, Mary, he said, and took her hand. Will I see it? Of course you will, she laughed. Don't be silly. Dr. Craven walked into the room and looked surprised. He saw that Colin was feeling well, and he left quickly. The boy has changed, he said to Mrs. Medlock. He is much better. It's the girl, she told him. Senna Soybury was right. Senna Soybury asked the doctor. She's Martha's mother and my friend, answered the housekeeper. She has got well, child, you see, and she knows a lot. Children need other children, she said to me. She is a clever woman, said Dr. Craven, putting on his coat. The next morning, Mary ran into Colin's room and opened the windows. Dickon is here, she laughed. He has brought all his friends and a baby lamb too. A baby lamb, exclaimed Colin. Yes, he found it on the moor. It lost its mother, she said. Do you want to see it? A few minutes later, Dickon came in with his little zoo and a big smile. Colin looked at them with his big eyes. He couldn't. Then Dickon went near him and put the little lamb in Colin's arms. The 3 children began to laugh, and Colin was delighted. Chapter number 8. Dickon came to the house every day, and the 3 children made plans. Then one sunny morning, they were ready to take Colin outside. First, he called the servants to talk to them. I am going out this afternoon with Dickon and Mary. Nobody will come with us, and I don't want nobody in the gardens. Is that clear? He asked, and the servants agreed. At 2 o'clock, they carried Colin downstairs and put him in his wheelchair. Then Dickon pushed the chair toward the empty gardens, and Mary walked beside them. They stopped at the tall wall. Is this it? Asked Colin. Where is the door? It's behind these branches, answered Mary. Now close your eyes. Colin opened his eyes inside the garden. Oh! He laughed. I can feel the magic here. I feel strong. He looked at everything in the garden and asked lots of questions. Look, there, a big branch has broken off that tree. Well, it's very old, said Dickon, and looked at Mary. Colin didn't know about his mother's fall. Oh, there's my friend, the robin, she shouted suddenly and pointed to the bird. Where? He asked, and forget about the old tree. Oh, I want to stay here all day. He said, let's have a picnic. You can get food from the house. Dickon went back for a picnic basket and the children sat on the grass and ate. They were laughing and having fun when Colin pointed at the wall. Who is that man? They turned around quickly. Ben Weatherstaff was standing on top of a ladder with an angry face. You bad little girl, he shouted. How did you get in there? Mary was frightened. The robin showed me the way, she said. Colin was angry. Do you know me, old man? He asked. Ben looked at the boy in the wheelchair. You're the sick child, aren't you? I am not sick, Colin answered angrily. Look at me. Colin took Dickon's arm and stood up from the wheelchair. Ben began to cry. Oh, my boy, he could only say. Listen to me, said Colin. I am your master. This is my garden, and we will come here every day. You must keep our secret. You must not tell anyone. Now climb down that ladder and come here. He turned to Dickon. Help me walk to the tree, please. Ben, come through the door. Look at me. You see I can walk, said Colin. Why were you on that ladder? I worked in this garden, began Ben. I worked for your mother. She loved it, and I loved it too. When she died, I decided to look after her garden, said the old gardener. Every spring, I climbed over the wall and did some work nobody know. Then you can keep secrets, Ben Weatherstaff. That's good. You must not tell anyone about this, ordered Colin. Yes, sir. This is your garden now, said Ben. Would you like to plant a flower? He asked. Oh, yes, smiled Colin. He sat on the ground and made a hole with Dickon's help. Ben brought a rose and Colin planted his first flower. Chapter 9. At the end of a wonderful day, Colin was back in the house. Dr. Craven was worrying for him and he looked worried. You were outside for a long time, Colin. Are you tired? No, I am not, answered the boy. I feel great. Tomorrow I will go out in the morning and the afternoon. That's not a very good idea. I am afraid. I am your doctor and I want you to listen, said his uncle. You can't stop me, said the child. I can do anything I want. Now go away. The doctor left and Mary looked at Colin. I am a little sorry for your uncle because he was wrong and I am not going to die, asked Colin. No, not that, she went on. It's you. You aren't nice to him. I am not nice, he asked. No, you're bossy and rude, she answered. I was the same and nobody liked me, but I changed. I made friends and then I found the garden. There is magic in the garden, he smiled. If I go there every day, I will change too. Each morning, Dickon and Mary took Colin to the secret garden. One day, Colin stood in front of Ben and the children and said, I am going to try an experiment and I want your help. There is magic in this garden and I am going to use this magic to get better. How? Asked Mary. I am going to get stronger in here. I will learn to walk and run like other boys. Then I can surprise my father when he comes back. Will you help me? Yes, sir, said Ben Wethelstaff, and the children repeated, yeah. Master Colin's plan was good, but it wasn't easy to keep it secret. You are eating all your food, and there is color in your face. Dr. Craven told him, we must write and tell your father the good news. No, don't do that, shouted the boy. I am not ready. I may get ill again. In fact, I feel hot now and my back hurts. All right, said the doctor. Calm down. I won't write to your father yet. Colin was worried. Dr. Craven will spoil the surprise. He told Mary. Why don't you cry and shout at night again, said Mary. I can't, he told her. I don't wake up now and I am not frightened. Maybe I could stop eating, but I am always hungry. Deacon told his mother about Colin's plan and she decided to help them. The next day, she sent fresh milk and bread to the hungry boy. Oh, Deacon, thank you. Your mother is so kind and clever, he said. She is, said Deacon. And then he added, you must get stronger. I knew the strongest man in Yorkshire. He does special exercises and I can show you. Every day in the garden, the three children did the exercises. Colin quickly began walking and running. He was changing. The thick little boy was becoming happy and beautiful. One morning in Colin's room, Mary looked at a painting of his mother on the wall. You look very much like your mother now, she told him. Maybe that will make your father happy, he said quietly. Chapter number 10. Mary Deacon shouted, Colin, one summer morning, do you remember my first day in this garden? Yes, we do, they answered. Now look at me. I am well. I am really better, he said happily. I want to shout, thank you. Suddenly the door opened slowly and a woman walked into the garden. She had kind eyes and a smiley face. Who is that? Asked Colin. It's mother, shouted Deacon and ran to her. She smiled at the three children. Colin, my dear boy, you look just like your mother, and you, Mrs. Mary, you look very pretty. It's the magic in the garden, Colin said. Do you believe in magic, Mrs. Strawberry? Yes, I do, she said. It has different names, but if you believe, you can do anything, Colin. Sana had a big basket of food with her. They all sat down and ate and talked. You must visit our house on the moor, she told Colin and Mary. You must meet the rest of children. Colin looked at her with love and said, You are so nice, like a mother. She hugged him and smiled. Your mother is here in this garden, my boy. She is always watching you. All that time, Mr. Archibald Craven was far away in Italy for the last few days. He kept talking about his home and his son back in England. Then one night he had a strange dream. Archie! Archie! He heard his wife's voice. Lilius, where are you? He asked. In my garden. Come and find me, she answered. The next morning a letter arrived for him from England. He quickly opened it. Dear sir, I am Sana Swiberry, Martha's mother. I knew your dear wife. You have to come back to Mrs. Wealthy. It is important. Yours sincerely, Sana Swiberry. First the dream and now this letter. He thought, I must go back. Yes, I will go back at once. I was never a good father. I couldn't even look at my son. It is too late now. 10 years is a long time, he kept thinking on the journey home. When he arrived at Mrs. Wealthy, Mrs. Medlock, how is Master Colin? Where is he? He is outside, sir. He is always in the gardens with Mrs. Mary and Deacon, she answered. The servants and gardeners were ordered not to go near them. Mr. Craven quickly went to the garden outside the door of locked garden. He heard voices of children laughing. He stood and listened when suddenly the door opened and a tall handsome boy ran out. He had huge grey eyes. When the boy saw Mr. Craven, he stopped in surprise. What? Who? Asked the man. Father, said the boy, it's my Colin. Can you believe it? Colin in the garden, said Mr. Craven. Yes, father, it was the garden and Mary and Deacon and the animals and the magic, said Colin. I am well now. Are you happy? Mr. Craven couldn't speak. He looked at his strong, handsome son and put his hand on the boy's shoulder. Take me into the garden, son, and tell me everything, he said. Later that day, Mrs. Medlock looked out the window. Master Colin, strong and happy, was walking towards the house, and next to him was his father. Deacon and Mary followed close behind. Colin turned and looked at them. It doesn't need to be a secret garden anymore, he said, but it will always be our favorite place, he added, and they all smiled.
So guys, if you like my video, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe my channel. Bye bye. See you in the next video.